Hello, guys! Welcome to the second episode of the Dragon Cast podcast thing. If you guys have no idea what is going on, this is something where I and a guest are talking about Dragon Ball. The guest is somebody you may be familiar with. Hail Zeon, say hello.
Guest? I thought it was a co-host.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I feel almost like downgraded.
You know what? I am actually going to change that. Okay, I do it with the co-host. Hail Zeon. This is a thing. I'm sorry. That was actually, you were right. That was a poor choice of words. But anyway, if you guys are wondering why this is episode 2, it's because episode 1 is kind of on Zeon's channel, so we're kind of doing this thing where we're alternating between channels. So it's cross promotion to the extreme. If you want the full experience, you're gonna have to be on both of our channels not at the same time, but you know what I mean. So anyway, this is a thing we do where we just literally watch episodes of Dragon Ball and talk about them. It's kind of nothing fancier than that, but considering this is us two, we can squeeze a lot out of those, like 4 episodes per thing. So on Zeon's channel, I'll probably have a link to it in the description. We do generally do 4 episodes of anything in the Dragon Ball series at once. So for Zeon's for episode 1, we did Dragon Ball episodes 1 till 4, and for this episode, we're going to be doing episodes 4 till 8. So let's get this started, shall we?
All right.
Anyways. So the first episode we did was episode 5, which was essentially the Yamcha and Puar episode.
Yes. And, okay, so, like, the first thing in this episode that we learn is Oolong is now just an actual member of this team. Like, because that's something that isn't established in the last episode. Like, this gets established in this episode. He even is just like, why did you bring me along? It's like, because your shape-shifting abilities could be, like, handy.
It is actually kind of funny how they just sort of explain it like that. Like, it's like, somewhere off screen, they just kind of grabbed Oolong and took them with him. It's just like, wait, guys, whoever said I was coming with you? Well, we said now, I guess, why not?
Yeah. So yeah, like, Oolong's on their team. Goku gives him, the honorary pat test. Which
that's how you know
Oolong
you're
does
a
not
member
appreciate
of the team.
at all.
It's like that's how you know you're like a relevant character in this first arc if Goku gives you the pat.
Right. So yeah, like, you know. Also, I like how, like, okay, I guess I really like it, but just, man, Oolong. Okay, like, Oolong comes off as really, like, homophobic in these early episodes.
Okay, I'm gonna admit I never expected you to say that, but sure.
Well, no, because like he very specifically says, "I hate men." I guess you could say he's more misandrist, I guess, than homophobic. It's just, you know, he's like, I hate men. I don't want to touch men. I don't want men touching me. And it's just like, because he does that in this episode, he also does it later on with the Muten Roshi. It's like, you know, he does not want to be touched by men.
You know, I'm sure you could spend, like, you know, a big, in-depth, like, 20-minute analysis into Oolong's, like, sexual preferences and what that actually means.
He's
super
like, real-life straight. that is the extent of that.
I mean, I am sure if we look deep enough, there are, like, actual, like terms for conditions like this, for all we know, but... Yeah, like, it is actually interesting. Yeah, like, Oolong, it's like very specifically, Oolong just likes girls. Pretty much all girls. And he doesn't like men. And it's like, yeah, I mean, Oolong is an interesting character. I mean, just especially in this arc where he's actually kind of important. But yeah, that is one thing. And also, so something I noticed in this episode, unfortunately, we were talking about this last episode where we were saying, you know, if there's going to be an episode where the animation quality kind of drops, we're going to talk about it. Mm-hmm. This was the first episode where I realized the art is not looking up to point, and just before this, I looked it up, and it's why it was the first Ebisawa episode.
Mm-hmm.
Ebisawa.
Yep. Yeah, I was looking that up too as well, that Ebisawa had done this one, and then Uchiyama's team comes back for the one after it, and we'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, like Ebisawa's team worked on this. Also, I need to make a correction from the first episode. Because in the first episode, like, you know, we were talking about, like, holy crap, Maeda did, like, 2 episodes within the span of, like, 3 weeks. What is this craziness? How is this man so magical? So when I looked it up, again, on Kanzenshu, like, when you see it just like the bare bones information, it has animator or animation Minoru Maeda. When you click it, it has like key animation, and it's like 4 different animators, and then like the in-betweeners. Maeda's name isn't on there, so I was assuming by him being the like in charge of animation, he is just like, you know, he's overseeing, like it's his team being overseen, so it isn't just him. So that makes a lot more sense. I guess he's probably more into just overseeing production and doing corrections, maybe storyboarding as well. Who knows? But yeah,
I think storyboard's generally a separate person. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I couldn't find storyboard information. I tried to look for storyboard artists. I couldn't find them on Kanzenshu.
Maybe they don't do them anymore, because like nowadays we have them. Although I don't know if it's like, then again, do we only have them because those are like for like Dragon Ball Super nowadays, because those are like in the those are like in those magazine scans and everything. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe that's like Wes or something. He kind of knows about the storyboard artists. But yeah, so it was like I feel like we do have to talk about Ebisawa and Uchiyama at one point, so we might as well talk about it now. And it's like, basically, there are obviously Dragon Ball. If you guys don't know, Dragon Ball and like a lot of anime in general, like, you know, each episode's like, you know, there are like multiple like kind of animation teams that kind of work on episodes, and then it's why it's not like every person has 1 week to make an episode. It means they might have like, you know, 6 weeks or 8 weeks, because it's like there are multiple teams and then each team kind of keeps rotating. And so Ebisawa and Uchiyama, they were the supervisors for these teams. I don't think they have actual names, but I think Uchiyama's team was called Last House eventually. There's Last House Studio or whatever. But
yeah.
They're just not as good, basically. Their art and their animation just isn't as good as some of the other teams in Dragon Ball. So it's like, and it does lead to, it actually leads like literal moments where sometimes you actually have things where like sometimes they'll have like flashbacks to earlier episodes, or like they're redrawing earlier episodes and like again basically to save time, and you're like, oh, this doesn't look as good, or this suddenly looks way, way better. And when it happens, it's generally to the animation team. So if you guys want, you should check out Kanzenshu, because they do have a pretty good list of like which animation teams did which episode. So if you want to know, but yeah, it's noticeable here.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Because like, you know, I think I said like episode 3 looked a little shaky. This one looked worse. This one I would say is the worst looking of the bunch.
So far, anyway, yeah.
Yeah, and look, the thing is, though, because like I kind of had this feeling that, like, you know, because Toriyama's style is at this point is a bit rounder, a bit squishier, a bit more stout and whatnot, like in how he presents his characters, like having the worst animation, it isn't like a huge departure, like in like later on once we get like way into Z, and you know, like Toriyama's line work gets a lot sharper, a lot crisper, and just those animators just cannot do those styles at all. Here, at very least, whenever they show up, yeah, it's noticeable that it's worse, but it isn't like this harsh drop-off in quality like you're gonna see later on.
Yeah, it's like, it does feel like this, like, even though their styles are kind of more kind of, you know, basically like kind of almost more like simplistic, and like there's less sort of like detailed shading and whatnot, it's like it does feel like it still kind of fits the Dragon Ball art style, does not fit the Z art style as well. But yeah, it is just interesting, because like it was like the first time like I noticed it, and like, hey, I'm noticing this, I want to check why. Hey, I know why this looks that way. In like out of universe production things in Dragon Ball, it is very interesting. It also makes you see everything in a completely different light sometimes, but not always, because I still enjoy the episode.
Okay, so something I think is kind of interesting in this episode is it starts like one of the things, like earliest things in this episode after Oolong is established as being part of the team. They mention Mount Frypan and Gyumao. Like, and he doesn't show up for like another 2 episodes. Oh yeah,
it is actually, yeah, because it's like, I mean, I guess I understand why, because it is essentially like they want to tell us where we're going, where the next Dragon Ball is, before we kind of, alright, but no, you're right, they didn't actually have to do that. They didn't have to actually, like, they could have just cut ahead to us being like, hey, this is Mount Frypan, this is the location of the next Dragon Ball. But, I mean, then again, there's a lot of, because, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that happens, like, not just, like, because like it's an adventure and you expect things to happen, but it's like a lot of things happen basically because they're going to Mount Frypan. Like that is why Oolong keeps trying to ditch them, and that's why all these like shenanigans keep happening, and they like lose their capsules and have to go to the desert and find Yamcha, and it's like it is actually, yeah, it's interesting. All the stuff is triggered because of like the actual quest itself, and not just because of wacky hijinks they happen to meet along the way.
Yeah. Oh, so okay, so good foreshadowing with Mount Frypan and Guillemot, like getting them established early on. Fun fact about that: in the original Ocean Group dub, they don't mention Guillemot or they don't mention the Ox King at all.
What do they do with that flashback? That fun, experimental style flashback thing.
That flashback was really cool.
I know, I loved the way it was animated.
Yeah, they're actually talking about Yamcha in the original dub.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's cool.
Because he's just like, oh my god, like Yamcha, he can blah, 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 blah. He's like this terrible bandit, he's really fucking scary, and I don't want to go to the desert. That's where Yamcha, the desert bandit, is. And, like, so basically, like, that image of Yumao, like, that silhouette of him, that's all stylized, is now, like, Oolong's mental image of what he's expecting Yamcha to be.
That is so interesting. So I'm glad you're here, because like it's like I probably know more about the manga, and then like you know more about like the dubs that I never got around to watching because I thought I've heard stories about them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the dubs are kind of like they're an experience, like the old. Because like I am way more familiar with the old Ocean dubs because I had those on VHS and stuff, and I'd see them religiously like all the time on Cartoon Network. But yeah, like that was just one of those things that stood out. I don't know if Funimation kept that in there or not because I haven't watched Funimation's dub of this arc. But yeah, like that was just something that Ocean Group had done, and also the panty gag in the original broadcast of Dragon Ball when Ocean Group was doing it. They edited out the panties with money.
I think I have seen screenshots of that actually.
Yeah, just this wads of like dollar bills just on a fish hook, and which I mean was a pretty clever way of censoring that. And okay, so last time we talked about like the really clever multi-tier panty gag.
Yeah, we spent ages talking about that,
right? Because I mean, yeah, it was a really well constructed gag. It paid off multiple times. Okay, this one. Like, I feel this was, like, a bad, like, panty gag. Like, it's kind of weird to criticize a panty gag as being bad because, like, when she, like, like, puts on the fish hook, Goku goes, "What's that?" And she goes, "Freshly worn panties." And it's like, wait, did she just take those off in front of Goku? I'm really confused because Goku didn't notice.
I mean, I do got to admit, though, it does still kind of slightly pay off in that later on in the episode, and Oolong's like, well, you took your panties off, right? That means you're not wearing any now. How about I turn into panties and you can wear me instead? So,
yes.
Like, there's at least that.
Yeah, yeah, it does come back at very least, but it is just like a weird moment where it's just like, because it did have me go, wait a second, that didn't, what? How did you... Okay, but yeah, it's
like the oolong and the oolong and the hot soup thing. It's just minor thing. They're just like you just keep thinking about like.
Yeah. So and in one of the most sadistic things I think Bulma has ever done to another individual, the pee-pee candy comes into play.
Oh jeez.
And this is a running gag throughout the rest of this arc.
Like it's not a running gag. It's essentially Oolong's restraining bolt. It's the thing. Now I'm thinking about it, I wonder if that's a thing, like a kind of Journey to the West thing as well. Another thing I know about Journey to the West, like my very few details I know. So Sun Wukong basically when when Tripitaka is like getting Sun Wukong, basically the gods realize that Sun Wukong's not necessarily going to listen to this random monk guy. So they place this like headband on his head, and then when Tripitaka says like some certain words and stuff, the headband would like shrink and like cause him a really big headache. So basically Sun Wukong was kind of forced to do what he had to do. And I feel like this is kind of the same, like this is kind of where that idea came from. So Bulma gives Oolong this thing, and then like if she says some certain words, then he'll get explosive diarrhea, and so that because of that, he kind of has to listen to what she says.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a funny gag. It is his restraining bolt, but it is also just this running gag where like every time Oolong's a little out of line, pee pee pee, and
it's funny because diarrhea is funny.
Yeah, I honestly, the one time I legitimately thought that gag, because I mean, I think I actually thought that gag was really funny when I first saw it as a teenager, but, like as an adult, I definitely thought it was kind of funny when Goku does it to him. Because Goku would just
see if if he can do it.
Yeah, he's just like, oh yeah, well, pee, pee, pee. He's just like, ah! It's like, and Goku's like, man, it's a good thing I'm a good boy and I didn't have to eat that.
I mean, I don't know why, but like, especially the next few episodes, I was just really loving just Goku in these episodes. He's just, I don't know if I can really explain why, but just like, I think it's just like the way that he's just kind of just chilling out with everyone else, and it's not like, he's never really like the be-all end-all of the situation, like he's the strongest, but he's still kind of like, he's kind of just a supporting cast member with everyone else, which is kind of like really different from other parts of the series where he's just always the hero. So it's like, it's fun to see him just in this kind of like side role where he is just like with equal to everyone else and interacting with everyone else. Although it doesn't actually, even within these few episodes, there are moments where it kind of shifts. But I don't know. It's just it's really fun seeing Goku like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I never really thought about how Goku is kind of just in a, like, yeah, because he's just part of the cast. I mean, he doesn't really, take center stage. Bulma really is more center stage than Goku because, she's the one that does all the talking. She's the one that's constantly moving the plot forward. Goku is just really along for her ride. Which makes sense, because it's Journey to the West, and Journey to the West was Tripitaka's tale, and Sun Wukong was along for that ride.
Even if Sun Wukong kind of, just like Goku, Sun Wukong kind of steals the show because he gets all the cool moments.
True. Yeah, and we also got our introduction to Yamcha, our big reveal of him as a character.
I feel like we need to talk about Yamcha, because, I mean, Yamcha, we have to talk about Yamcha. Yeah,
because Yamcha is cool, damn it. He doesn't suck. He should have been cut out of the Tournament of Power, okay? Yamcha has feelings too.
But like, yeah, no, because like Yamcha nowadays it's kind of literally become a meme, and on the one hand, like even within this episode, his competence is kind of undermined, but like. Yamcha, like, I feel like people don't really, like, there's kind of a different experience between, like, Dragon Ball Yamcha and then, like, kind of meme Yamcha, which is sort of, like, fan-based meme Yamcha. Because, like, Dragon Ball Yamcha is, like, I feel like the kind of character he is like, he's, like, obviously he's still not as strong as Goku, but he's essentially the first big challenge that the characters really have to face. Like, it's the first thing that Goku actually kind of loses, where Goku is in any actual trouble of losing, and even if it's because Goku is weakened as opposed to because Yamcha is too strong. It's like, it's the first time when you actually thought, like, oh, right, they can't just necessarily go through everything on their own, like, without any sort of issues. And heck, now I'm thinking about it, that was kind of almost what this episode was like. It was like, you can't just go on an adventure and then not expect any complications to happen. Because, like, Bulma loses her capsules and they get stuck in the desert and they have nothing to do. Like, they don't have any way to, like, they don't have any like, transportation, and they're just stuck in the desert, and then Yamcha comes in, and then Goku is hungry, and then Goku is actually losing, and then it's almost just like, if it wasn't for Yamcha just conveniently happening to be afraid of talking to girls, like, that adventure could have been over right then.
It really could have. And okay, something to mention about Yamcha, he was willing to kill them. We should really just point that out that like he would have killed them for capsules.
He did have a he did kind of have a sword, but I mean he is also a bandit.
Yeah, I'm just saying like people because I always see like all of Goku's enemies always become his friends. It's like, well, Yamcha was never really an enemy. He was never really a villain. It's like, yeah, he was.
He was
a bad guy.
He was an antagonist at the very least. He was opposing the thing that Goku wanted to do, and then eventually when he finds out about the Dragon Balls, he wants to do the thing that Goku wants to do instead of Goku being able to do it. So it is still like that.
Yeah, and like he like I said though, like he was openly willing to just kill them. Like he didn't even know if like the Wolf Fang Fist had killed Goku or not. And then he's gonna like he's like friggin' Oolong's just like, oh man, Yamcha, you're really strong. You really showed that Goku, ha ha ha. And Yamcha's like walking up, cracking his knuckles, ready to beat the shit out of this 9-year-old pig boy.
Is he 9? I can't remember if they ever.
I think as far as the official information goes, he's 9. I know he's younger than Goku.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
okay. Also, if we're gonna talk about Yamcha, I think like I at this point I feel like I've written this stuff down so many times. I feel like I just need to like copyright it. But like it's like the Toriyama twist. And the Toriyama twist is where it's like, you think it's going to be doing, like, you think you know this story before, but you think you know this how the story is going to go, and he puts this fun little quirky twist on it. And in this case, it's like, oh, look, it's this big, this strong desert bandit who actually knows a special martial arts technique with a fancy name that makes him look like a wolf, and oh, what are we going to do? But then he has this one big weakness that he is too shy to talk to girls, and he just runs off the moment he sees a girl. Like, I feel like some dubs and stuff sort of like extrapolated it to be kind of like he's like literally afraid of women, but I think it's just more like he's just really shy about talking to girls, and so it's like he basically the moment he sees a girl, he's just like no, he doesn't want to deal with it.
Yeah. He gets kind of paralyzed. He doesn't know how to. He is the ultimate like awkward nerd like avatar. It's just like, oh man, it's a girl. What am I gonna do, guys? Oh man.
Oh god, I could totally imagine that, like, Yamcha is basically, like, a giant, he's like a martial arts nerd, like...
He info dumps all the time, like, he does it in his first episode.
Exactly, so it's like, is that what Yamcha was supposed to be? Essentially just, like, a nerd, but, like, instead of being a nerd about, like, video games or, like, anime, he's a nerd about martial arts, and that's why he's basically living alone with nothing but poor for company? Oh, God, I didn't even think about it until now.
That is a weird way to... Oh, my God. He's socially awkward, he acts like he's really cool, he's terrified to talk to women... And he's a martial arts otaku, and he has no friends. He is the ultimate avatar for the Dragon Ball audience.
Oh god, that was not the conclusion I was thinking about. Especially considering it's only episode 5, but still.
Well, I mean, like, just like he is the avatar for anime fans, for just those nerds, that because he's just a total otaku. I mean, he's a martial arts otaku, but he's still an otaku. Because, like he knows all these martial arts facts, and he's going to keep dropping these facts throughout the show. And, like, as soon as he sees, what was it, the Nioibo, I think, yeah, he's just like, crap, where'd you get that? Which, by the way, this is the first time they've ever acknowledged that Goku has this magical extending staff.
I mean, he mentions in the first episode, he always, like, calls it the Nioibo when he's, like, making it do things, but yeah.
But this is like the first time we've ever acknowledged that it is like this weird special magical artifact that Goku specifically has, and that only one other person before him had.
And I think speaking of that, I think this is also the first episode where we actually get the name drop of what his grandfather's name actually is, his son Gohan, which is, it's like, I mean, like, I don't think, like, I feel like there's not really any sort of, like, meaning to it. I'm assuming it's partially because, like, Gohan is like, meal and rice and whatnot, and it's still the same as Goku. It's got the same kanji. The first kanji's the same. So, like, I guess it's, like, a kind of fancy name pun. We haven't talked about name puns. I feel like we shouldn't because otherwise we're going to be here for too long. But maybe we could talk about that later on. But yeah, it's like that is Goku's grandpa's name, and they do keep mentioning him now quite often from this point onwards. They mention him several times. So like he's not just like he has this mysterious nameless grandpa. It's like he has a name. His name is Son Gohan, and it's like this he's this like actual famous martial artist that even Oolong knows about somehow. Oolong is surprisingly knowledgeable about like a lot of the Dragon Ball world in this part of the series, and it's kind of funny how much he knows really just for being this random shape-shifting pig guy.
Yeah, because like he even knew about Gyumao as well. And speaking okay, so something I wanted to bring up from this episode, we get the introduction of the Southern Transformation School. So now we just know there is just a school, like a school for kids, where you just learn about transformation and you learn to transform. And because, like, Oolong got kicked out for trying to steal his teacher's panties, which I don't know how the hell you try to steal your teacher's panties.
Didn't even think about the implications of that.
Yeah, because, it's not like, he broke, because you have to think, either he broke into her house and tried to steal them, or he tried to physically remove them off of her while they were in class. Just, like, Oolong went the distance when it came to being a pervert, But yeah, we get this introduction of the transformation school, and it'll never be brought up again. Well, it'll be mentioned maybe one or two more times after this, but it will never play a greater role, and the whole transformation thing will eventually die out, and we'll never see other characters. Like, seriously, you think Tao Pai Pai being a mercenary, he would have, found a really good use for transforming. You think he would have went to transformation kindergarten, but I guess not.
I mean, there are plenty of headcanon reasons you can get of, maybe only the animal people have that ability, maybe
that's
it's
just racist.
Maybe you can only do it when you're young, and when you're too you have to choose between normal school and transformation school, and you can't do both at the same time. Who knows? But I mean, either way, it's we haven't talked about Puar, and that's partly because Puar, out of everyone, is probably the person who has the least amount of character.
Yeah,
pretty much out of most people in the cast. Puar, he or she, in fact, I don't even know if Puar is official gender. That's what Puar is like. Puar is there pretty much so Yamcha has somebody to talk to without seeming like a complete idiot and just talking to himself all the time. So, and also I guess there is Oolong's rival, except since Puar is a better shapeshifter than Oolong, the rivalry is pretty much basically Puar is almost kind of there to be Oolong's check, because anything Oolong can do, Puar can do better. Yeah,
but the thing is, though, Puar may have the better transformation abilities. Oolong got the personality.
Basically. It's you can only choose one or the other. Either be a good shapeshifter or have a personality.
And Puar may be the more effective character within the story. He is definitely not the most interesting. Because I hate Puar.
Really? You hate Puar?
Well, okay, hate's a strong word. I don't care about Puar, because Puar feels so unnecessary. He feels like he adds nothing. His transfer, he has the exact same ability as Oolong, but better. And it's okay, but, very rarely do they run into circumstances where Oolong's 5-minute transformation limitation, wouldn't, would really be an issue.
Mm.
So yeah, it's just, I really feel Puar being there, and also, can I just say it's really weird that in this anime where we have two transforming animal people, neither one of them is a tanuki.
I did not think of. I mean, I think it's probably because a tanuki Japanese, because if they're exclusively Japanese, they wouldn't fit in, because how Dragon Ball's kind of trying to be more sort of Chinese inspired, so that would kind of explain it, maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, then you have a character like Bulma who's clearly Western influenced.
Like I think it was just more like it's like he wanted it to be more Chinese than Japanese, so like that's kind of why I feel like. Then again, you had, and I mean, like it's like then you had because like you have like stuff like even in this episode where we kind of got almost like the first sort of fight scene between Goku and Yamcha, and it looked kind of absolutely terrible, but never mind that. But and yet you have like Yamcha kind of making like Bruce Lee sort of high pitched yells when he's like attacking and stuff. So I don't know. I feel like then again, where's Bruce Lee from? I don't know. I feel like
Bruce Lee's Chinese.
Is he? Okay, because I don't know for sure. I don't want to sound like bad because I haven't done my research on this.
Are you trying to say all Asians look the same, Gabby?
I'm saying I want to try and deny, like, I don't want to use that cliche.
Yeah. Oh, Hong Kong. Isn't Hong Kong part of China?
Sort of. It was like, part of China. It was part of China, and they gave it to the Brits, and then Britain gave it back in like the 90s, I think. So it's sort of its own thing. I don't know.
Okay, that explains my confusion with Hong Kong, because I've always viewed Hong Kong as part of China, and then years later I found out it wasn't. Okay, that makes sense.
It used to be, and then like there was this Opium War and like that 1800s, and we probably should not be talking about modern colonial history when we're talking about Dragon Ball. Maybe not. Maybe that's just going a little bit too deep.
So also, this episode also gave us the introduction of Goku's Jenkin technique. His rock, paper, scissors fist.
Because I mean, I think he uses it against the bear.
Well, he
doesn't use all of it. He just uses the rock part.
Yeah, but does he actually say rock when he punches him?
I think so, but I don't know for sure. I'm not completely. I don't completely know.
Well, at very least, so this is the first time we actually get to see, like, all three of them. Because he does, like, the punch and the clasp fist, and then, like, he does scissors and pokes him in the eye, and then paper and face palms him. Another edited Dragon Ball fun fact. Because, like, you notice, like, how, like, slow Yamcha moves away from the screen. He gets hit, and he moves really slow into the background, hits that one platform because they didn't have a panel for him to break off of.
Oh yeah, like I know. In the manga, Goku punches Yamcha so hard he makes him fly through the fourth wall.
Yeah. He actually breaks the boundary of the panel, which was great. But yeah, so like he flies up, like hits the thing or whatever. Like that scene. Well, first off, they cut out the scissors, so he does like the clashing fist thing, and then he just goes straight to paper in the original edited version, because I guess they don't want to teach kids to poke each other in the eyes. And then they I
sort of understand that, but yeah.
Yeah, because I mean that's actually something like kids could do to each other.
True.
And then when he does the paper, like they actually sped up the footage so that way he like bing bing and bings like flies back faster and like bings off the that one rock formation. Yeah. So I was really surprised the first time I'd ever seen Dragon Ball uncut, and like that scene happens, and I'm just like, that looked really slow. What? So yeah. Interesting. That pretty much covers everything I had to say about the first episode, though.
Yeah. We spent longer talking about that than I thought. Anyway, episode 6.
I know, right? I felt like we weren't going to have a whole lot to say about these episodes. I was wrong.
No. Like I said, don't underestimate our ability to talk for over an hour about everything. Okay, right. Episode 6, which is probably perhaps honestly, I think at least in terms of like in the original story, in the original manga, I think this is perhaps one of the weirdest chapters in this arc, because it like if you look at it and you look at basically the events of it. First of all, it's such a complete like clusterfuck. Like there are like basically like 3 different like almost teams with their own kind of motives, sort of trying to do things at the same time, and their plans keep like conflicting with each other, and it's actually surprisingly almost difficult to follow just like what everyone is doing at what time and what cause and what effect and like everything like that. And also it's like if you look at this episode on its own and you kind of compare it, you might think that it's like filler, because not much really is accomplished. They just end up in that caravan, Oolong is, and they basically just have a crazy, wacky filled night, but then they wake up the next morning and then they just continue on. But like, it's not filler. And in fact, it is actually important because this big wacky hijinks stuff is how Yamcha finds out about the Dragon Balls in the first place, because he overhears their conversation. So it's like, you can't even skip it. It is an important part of the story, but it's just so odd compared to everything else.
I never really thought about just how kind of fillery that episode feels. Because, I mean, yeah, I can definitely agree with that, like, because it is just kind of, they're riding in their RV, and then, like, wacky hijinks that night, and then, well, no, because, like, the next episode is, like, the next part, because that episode's kind of in two parts. Because there's, all wacky hijinks.
I think I'm just more thinking, because, like, the manga chapter ends, I remember, like, the manga chapter ends with Yamcha seeing Bulma naked, and, like, that's, like, the big punchline of the chapter, and so the next chapter continues on. So that's kind of why I'm saying that's always, like, it feels like filler, because it's, like, that's how that part of the story ends.
Mm-hmm. Can I just say, like, at the very beginning of this, we find out Oolong has an RV. Why did he not bring that out in the last episode?
He said he was saving it for, like...
Yeah, like, he says he's saving it for a special occasion, but it's like, dude, you're walking in the desert!
Like, because, I mean, the thing is, like, with Oolong, we didn't really mention it last episode, but, like, what I found, like, kind of good, almost, like, refreshing about Oolong is, like, he basically takes up until he eats the pee-pee candy, he basically takes every opportunity he possibly can to try and escape. Like, he's actually pretty relentless in it. So it's like, I can always kind of understand him, like, not wanting to help them for a while, because, like, it basically does feel like he's being roped in completely against his will.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. And, also, he might have been wanting to use the RV as a getaway vehicle. Yeah. Come to think of it,
true.
Come to think of it, what happened to the red car that Oolong tried to escape in?
Wait, which one?
Like, whenever, never mind. That was when they got to Frypan Mountain. I'm getting my events mixed up. Okay. Never mind. Okay, he didn't have another red car. He didn't have an extra car on him. Cool. But yeah, so we get, like I said, like, wacky hijinks. That's mostly what this is. Okay, so... Now I'm about to turn this shit into, like, the SJW cast in just a second, because
it's alright. I'm alright with that, but sure.
Oolong's a date rapist in this.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising how quickly he goes from, like, wanting to, like, just have girls to kidnap to, okay, I'm gonna go and, like, I'm gonna sedate her and then feel her up when she's asleep.
Yeah, because, like, and I'm sure, like, people are gonna be like, hey, no, blah, 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 and, like, try to defend us. Like, no, Oolong drugged a 16-year-old girl to strip her and to fondle her nude body. And who knows what else he may have had in mind.
Yeah, this is where, like, some of the sexual humor in Dragon Ball, like, sometimes it's funny, and then sometimes it gets to the point where, like, oh, wow, this is going really far. I am kind of shocked.
Yeah, and, like, that is, like, honestly one of the very few gags in all of Dragon Ball where I just red flag and go, nope, that is not okay. And I'm sure people are gonna argue about it and tell us how we're wrong, and there were a bunch of SJW cucks, and we need to just not watch Dragon Ball because it's for boys, like 13-year-old boys who want to see naked girls, and we need to shut up. But whatever. No, like, that was a really fucked up scene. It's a really fucked up joke. I didn't really find it funny, and I think it's just in really poor taste.
And in terms of other jokes, I wasn't even, I didn't really find it funny, but I didn't even really think it was that good at all. And the joke that, like, Oolong has, like, this Playboy bunny outfit for Bulma, and then Bulma, like, has to wear the Playboy bunny outfit for, like, half the story. And it's like, I assume it's, like, it's part of this just, like, oh, yeah, it's like, oh, Oolong is forcing Bulma into all these crazy situations. Oh, man, it sure is terrible, and it sure is kind of funny to see Bulma in a really sexy outfit. But it's like, the thing that always made me, like, I was always just kind of really confused, like, if Bulma hates wearing it so much, why did she put it on? Like, her old clothes are clean. Presumably, the worst thing that happened to her old clothes is, like, they're dirty. Like, seriously? You would take you would take a sexually revealing Playboy bunny outfit, including putting on the ears, which you didn't even need to do. You would rather have that over just having clothes that might be a bit dirty or a bit smelly. Like, really?
Yeah, I know. It's almost like this series was designed to appeal to sexually maturing 12-year-old boys.
It's like it's like you'd think that like Toriyama would at least like have like explain why Bulma's old clothes were like so damaged that she couldn't wear them. Like at least have something like, I don't know, maybe there was like something that kind of like her clothes were somewhere else or they got thrown away or something, or like Oolong tried to wash them and then all the colors screwed up, you know, something like that. But it's just like, oh here, here's another outfit for you to wear. Too bad, you're stuck with it.
Yeah, that was I can understand her just wearing the bunny outfit, but like, yeah, I do feel like the collar and like the wrist things and like this the full Playboy aesthetic that she goes with, like ears and everything. It's just like, I feel like it veers that joke a little too far into just what. Well, yeah.
So I guess that's the problem. Like, you know, it's a gag. Since it is a gag manga, there's so many gags. You know, obviously we can't spend like 10 minutes talking about why a panty gag was just so good. But like, yeah, there are jokes that don't really hit home, and I think this was one of them. Even if it does lead to important things back in like episode 9 or so.
Yeah, and it's not like, okay, it's not even like, you know, we're like super prudish about this. I mean, like literally, as you just pointed out, last podcast we spent like a good 10-15 minutes just talking about how well constructed a panty gag was and how it just kept building on itself. So it's not like, you know, like just like, oh, all perverted humor is bad. Like, no, like, you know, you can be really clever. This wasn't clever. This was just, it was sleazy. And like, you know, this is also just kind of sleazy, and it's just, it's meh. Like, yeah, because honestly, like, I've never, like, I imagine if you're like a 12-year-old boy, you're like, hey, girl, like Bulma's boobies, she's in a bunny suit now. But, I mean, I guess that's our problem with not being the target audience.
I guess it's like even within this episode, you had like jokes that worked and then the jokes that didn't. It was like there's like 2 points where Yamcha goes and sees Bulma naked, and then that just like completely like makes him incapacitated. Like one of the times he just like happens to see her in the shower, and that's just kind of like oh okay, whatever. The second one is like the kind of like the climax of that sort of like the chapter anyway, where he sees like it with this whole big the combination of all these hijinks where he sees Bulma's naked body, and then he thinks that they're the Dragon Balls, and he pulls it off, and then he sees it's Bulma naked, and that is like, that works because like there was build up to it, and it made sense, and they also made once again another kind of like a joke about the Dragon Balls and like what they would be like and stuff like that, and you know it was a clever joke, whereas there are jokes that aren't really clever, and some of them are just like, why are we putting Bulma in this outfit, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Also, I like to say that I feel like this episode kind of reveals something about Bulma besides just her nude body. That Bulma might have breast implants, because, you know, like, she rolls over on her back and she is just perfectly spherical boobs just sitting up there.
It's anime, Zeon. Everybody knows in anime, people's breasts don't have normal physics. They have breast physics.
Right. It's those perfect, you know, spherical anime breast physics.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say, for all you guys who don't really know, boobs do not work that way.
Not at all. Like, it's like the whole time I was looking at that, I'm like, that's, because like, you know, like I think like the first time I'd ever seen that, like, you know, like I was a teenager, I had never seen boobs in real life by then. You know, I'm a grown-ass man now, and I'm just like, that's not how boobs look when a woman's lying down.
I'm just suddenly realizing this is probably going to be the crudest thing that I've ever put on my channel just because of that.
Oops. Well, I mean, the longer we talk about OG Dragon Ball and some of the sleazy gags in it, I think it's going to be a running trend.
Just maybe. I mean, I still do have the Goku's dick counter and the panty shot counter. They're at 4 each, right, unless I missed something. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, it's alright. I'll keep track.
Good. So, you compared the Pilaf Gang filler to Team Rocket, and this felt the most Team Rocket-y of anything that they've done, where they're like trying to like do like the whole bomb thing. And it's like, we're gonna, like, plant a bomb, and then we're gonna steal the Dragon Balls, and it's just like, and, like, Shu gets it stuck to his hand, so then he's like, oh crap, he's, like, trying to, like, reset the bomb, and, like, trying to, like, so it doesn't blow up on him, and he finally gets it off, and he attaches it at the end of the episode, or, near the end of the episode, and, like, you know, it blows up, the van blows up because Yamcha fires a rocket at it, and then they come back, and then their bomb blows up when they're, like, in the middle of the wreckage.
Yeah, I'm gonna say though, this is one of the kind of Pilaf gang fillery things where, like, I could believe it happening in the original manga. It doesn't really, like, stop the show, because it feels like since everyone's doing all their hijinks this episode, like, you know, Yamcha and Puar and Oolong and Goku and Bulma, it's like, it kind of almost makes sense that, like, the Pilaf gang are also doing their hijinks at the same time. Like, this one was one where I feel like it didn't like distract me.
Yeah, and that's good, because I was going to say, like, you know, this has been my favorite episode with them so far, with their silly hijinks, because, you know, like I didn't really find them intrusive before, but here, like, I think that they really meshed really well with the events that were going on, and I think this is, like, their last really major appearance up until, like, their actual proper appearance in the manga.
Okay, cool. I actually was just, like, I haven't watched, like, proper, like, anime Dragon Ball, like I don't really remember it all that well, so yeah, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, and then so this episode was an Uchiyama episode, so the animation looked pretty meh throughout most, but then, like, in the last 5 minutes, the animation spikes. Like, from the point where, like, after Yamcha gets his tooth kicked out, and they're, like, walking in the desert, from that scene onward, like, there's more movement in the animation, the animation's more fluid, it's more dynamic, like, the characters are more on model, and they're more detailed, like, immediately from, like, you just see, like, Goku carrying Bulma on his back, and, like, just like, you know, like the little head nod she's doing as, you know, Goku's walking through the desert with her. I'm just like, there's a lot of subtlety in this animation, and I was just like, what the hell just happened? Because this anime kind of looked like ass up until, like, a moment ago.
I guess I just must assume it must be the work of specific key animators. You know,
yeah.
Like, we could reach this that afterwards. Who knows? Maybe people know, like, if specifically, like, this is somebody's style or something, because I know that the person people might know familiar with him nowadays, but Naotoshi Shida, that he started off working under Uchiyama and did some stuff in Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and Uchiyama episodes. So I mean, I'm not just gonna say, I bet it was Shida because it looks good, because, like, that's just, like, completely simplistic. But, you know, it could be something like that.
Yeah, but yeah, like, I was taken aback by just how things had just spiked in, like, you know, visual quality. I was just like, oh, this looks different, okay. And it just looked so much better than anything we had seen prior in an episode. And they didn't even use it for the fight. They used it for after the fight. That was the weird part.
Yeah, like, the fight was really quick and didn't really look that good. So, I don't know. I've got no idea what the context was. Who knows?
Right. So, okay. Next episode is the introduction of Mount Frypan, Gyumao, Chi-Chi, that whole thing. The Mount Frypan arc, mini arc, you can say, within this larger arc.
Probably feel like we've got a lot to talk about here. Let's go.
Right. Okay. We get, like, the origin of Mount Frypan, which is like a fire spirit just came down like 10 years ago. It was originally called Mount Chili, and things were a lot nicer over here. Kind of superfluous dialogue. Doesn't really add to or take.
I feel like the Mount Chili thing might be an animated thing, because I don't remember that in the manga. But, like,
I don't think it's in the manga either.
I think I do remember the fire spirit part. I think is.
Yeah, the fire spirit's in the manga. I don't think the Mount Chili thing is, because I don't recall that either. This is actually my first time ever noticing them call it Mount Chili.
Yeah. Okay. That's the backstory, and obviously Oolong is scared out of his wits still about Gyumao, because he's heard that Gyumao basically killed people who trespass and whatnot.
So I like when they're like, why do you know so much about this guy? And he's just like, everybody knows about him. They teach about him in textbooks. And I'm like, really? This guy? They teach you in textbooks?
I mean, to be fair, Dragon Ball is a very strange place where we have a king who was a dog and probably might have become a king because he used the Dragon Balls once. So I feel like the history of the Dragon Ball is pretty screwed up.
True. But it's just kind of funny that he's like, like he's written about in textbooks. Yet nobody remembers Piccolo Daimao.
That is God, I did not think about that. And no one, yep. Oh, you're totally right.
Like the random hillbilly wielding an axe, wearing like a goggle helmet. He's worthy of being recorded in the annals of history. The demon who slaughtered probably hundreds, if not thousands, and almost took over the world. Nah, whatever, he wasn't that important.
I mean, I was thinking in terms of, like, later on in the series and Mr. Satan and all that kind of stuff, and, like, nobody knows what Goku does, but I think in that case, it was more like, at that point, Piccolo was kind of a very, like, quite a long time ago, whereas, like, Yumao, that was only, like, 10 years ago, so, like, maybe it's more recent, but then it's in textbooks, and, my mind, let's not think about this too hard, we can't, it's Dragon Ball.
So, yeah, yeah, like, we get, like, the whole lead-in for, like, Yumao, and, like, he goes toe-to-toe with Goku, and something I think that's kind of interesting, Yumao completely no-sells Goku. Goku kicks Yumao, and he doesn't budge. He doesn't move.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think that is good. It's like, we've had all these other times where it's like, with Oolong and Yamcha, and like, oh, look, they look threatening, but Goku can deal with them in some way. But here in this case, yeah, this was the first, like, legit, no, Goku could not match up to Yumao. Yumao is probably stronger than Goku. Put that in your power level charts, guys, okay? Something like that. And it's, which is fair enough, because he has had all this build-up and so much build-up. Like, at least there is a payoff to that. Like, he is actually too powerful to fight. And like, the only reason they got through it is through basically a lot of crazy coincidences.
Yeah, like, he notices, what was it, the Quinto Moon, right?
Yeah, he notices Quinto and he's like, oh, where'd you get that from? And he's like, oh, from this old guy. And he's like, oh, it's like this Kame-sen. And he's like, oh, but that Kame-sen, it must be the Muten Roshi. And he's like, oh, he was my master. And he's like, also, what is that stuff you have? And he's like, oh, this is from my grandpa. It's like, oh, did your grandpa son Goku? It's like, yeah. And it's like, oh, well, what a coincidence, because he also studied under the Muten Roshi. And we're like, what? Okay, sure, yay, what a surprise, what a nice surprise, this random guy we just met.
If this wasn't such just a fun, light, gag story, I would really call bullshit on just the number of contrivances this is. Like, oh, Goku's already met, like, the master of his grandfather, then the best friend of his grandfather, then he's gonna go back, and that's gonna cycle him back to the master of his grandfather, and it's just like, it is just coincidence city up in this episode. It's just like it's everyone's connected, and
I was thinking it was like a sort of like Final Fantasy VIII kind of thing. Everyone was secretly in an orphanage together when they were kids, and they just didn't remember it.
Yeah, it was just like I said, like, if this were a more serious storyline, I would be calling total bullshit on just all the level of contrivance this is. But also, for all I know, this could be inspired by things from Journey to the West. So who knows?
Yeah, I don't have anything on my small bits of knowledge about it, so maybe it could be, maybe it couldn't. I don't know. What it does, I didn't think about it until now, but what it does kind of almost feel like is almost like Toriyama trying to kind of set some things up for, like, what he's going to do once they find the Dragon Balls. Because, I mean, at this point, they only have 2 Dragon Balls left to go. So it's like, clearly he knows that he needs to, like, do something afterwards. And, like, with all this stuff with the Muten Roshi, it all just kind of leads to eventually him saying that he'll take Goku on as a pupil, and then Goku will go and train with him. And it's like, it's nice that they do kind of introduce it this early, even if it is in a kind of forced way, because it does sort of mean that when the arc is over and then Goku immediately goes off to the next arc, you kind of already know what's going to happen, and it all just kind of makes sense.
Right. And okay, so, damn it, I had a point and I was waiting for you to finish, and I forgot my point. Fine.
Oh,
Oh
right.
well. I'm sure it'll come back to me later. Yeah. They definitely, it does definitely kind of feel like they're setting a lot of things up. And oh, right, I know what I was going to say. Yeah, I find it like so weird, like how quickly Toriyama's getting them around to all these Dragon Balls.
I mean, they start off with like 3 already, right?
Yeah, like he starts them off with 3. They are already on like they're episode 7. They're on their second to last Dragon Ball. And, like, this is only, like, a 2-episode ordeal. By the end of episode 8, they're gonna have that second to last Dragon Ball with just 1 more to go.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. Because then you have, like, chapters where, like the whole, Knight's escapade, where it's like, nobody gets any Dragon Balls. Nothing actually changes. They're just kind of there. Just kind of having having a thing kind of almost unrelated to the Dragon Balls. And it is interesting how kind of like quickly like the Dragon Ball part of it comes. Like you think it's just gonna be all just like adventures, Dragon Balls, blah blah blah. But like it is that, but it's also like a whole bunch of just other things.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we get our introduction to Chi-Chi.
I feel like we need to talk about Chi-Chi.
Okay, good. Because I like Chi-Chi, so we can talk about Chi-Chi all you want.
Okay, because I don't really like Chi-Chi that much.
Really?
Like, I understand what she is, and I understand the kind of character she is, but, like, especially in this arc, it is actually she's just such an odd character. Like, I mean, she's introduced as running from a dinosaur, but then she easily cuts the dinosaur in half with a boomerang helmet a boomerang blade on her helmet, and then it has a laser on it, and she disintegrates the dinosaur, and then she immediately sees Yamcha, and then she immediately just like tries to attack him, and then he like eventually then Yamcha like goes and knocks her out, and then later on when she comes to, then when Yamcha is going on about like, oh, he like pretends that he's in love with her, and then she just goes into this complete like frenzy of like, oh my god, you're in love with me? I've read about love. Love is supposed to be this thing, and you're supposed to go on dates, and oh my god, this is so cool. I can't stand it. It's so exciting. And it's like, she is such an odd character. Maybe it's just I don't understand like Japanese culture enough to the point that Chi-Chi's mannerisms just kind of go completely over my head. But like, in a way, she's almost as odd to me as Goku is, which is probably kind of why they're almost perfect for each other. They're both so messed up as characters.
Yeah, Chi-Chi, I mean, I really do love her introduction. Just because, like, yeah, like you said, like, she's running from a fucking T-Rex, and she, like, turns around, like, with eyes closed, and she just chucks this boomerang blade, takes its fucking head off, and then she goes, when she sees it's decapitated, so she just incinerates it with, like, this beam laser out of her helmet. Like, I just always, like, it's such a bizarre way to introduce a new character, but I really like it. And yeah, like her personality is like she's such a dingbat. Like she is clearly just completely uneducated, just doesn't know jack shit about anything.
Like in a way, yeah, she is kind of more like Goku than like really anyone else in the cast. It is like, because I was thinking about this, like, you know, in the like this is like Chi-Chi and Goku, and then eventually they meet up, and then there's this whole big thing, and then later on they end up getting married, and it's like it's a weird thing, and you're like, oh, you know, how do their relationship function? But it's like I feel like they are, in a weird messed up way, they are kind of made for each other.
Yeah, like I never really thought about just how similar they are early on in Dragon Ball. Just, they're both completely ignorant of, like, how the world works around them, and yet they're both, like, fairly strong. They're weird characters. They are very weird, and I've never really thought about just how well they complement one another. So it is kind of fitting later on whenever they do get married.
Because it's like, especially like, you know, when you think like this is the first arc, and it's like almost like Chi-Chi becomes basically like Goku's love interest, and it's like, you know, like when you expect the main character to have a love interest, like you would expect it to be kind of a bit more sort of like normal, you know, like a bit more of a kind of a rational person. I know there are people who still kind of like ship Goku and Bulma and stuff because it's like it's almost like, you know, the boy and the girl in the story, and then like obviously they'd be like shipped with each other. But it's like with Chi Chi, like yeah, she's a side character, but she's just so odd. She's just so odd because of just like how naive she is and how like overly like excited she gets, and like I don't know, that's me on Chi Chi, and like the fact that she is dressed like that when she is like 12 is probably also contributes to it.
Right. Okay, that is the one thing I was gonna bring up. It's just, what is wrong with fucking Yumao letting his daughter walk around in like this tiny little bikini? There's this little Xeno Warrior Princess bikini armor set. What the fuck?
Apparently, it's like the design was actually like something that Toriyama drew up for one of his like one shots, like before he started. Maybe I don't know if it was before he started Dragon Ball or Dr. Slump. I can't remember which. I can't remember what it was called, but it's like even like the helmet with the boomerang blade and the laser, like that was like taken from a design that he had for another character earlier on. So I guess he must have really liked it, and then he just didn't really think about the implications of giving it to a 12-year-old girl.
Right, because
well, actually, I don't think you officially know what her age is, but like, you know, she's young, you know.
Yeah, she's clearly, you know, she is depicted as a small child, which like even you know, Yamcha isn't afraid or skittish around her because she's just a kid. He's not attracted to her at all. Which
I actually liked that line of dialogue at that point where and then when Para's like, wait, but you didn't get shy around her, and he's like, yeah, that's because I'm not into little kids. He's not he is not a pervert, guys. He is.
He is a scholar and a gentleman, and hashtag not a pedophile.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He's not a pedophile.
like with all these other characters out in this show, like Yamcha felt a need to like tell the audience, I don't want to fuck a little girl. He just like he didn't want to get lumped in with those guys.
It's like that is just too far humor for this kind of show, for this kind of story. No.
But yeah, so Yumao, you know, sends his 12-year-old daughter, or at very least, you know, we find out, you know, through resource guides and shit that she's 12. So, you know, 12-year-old daughter out into the great unknown, dressed in a metal bikini to go find the Muten Roshi. Why did he send his 12-year-old daughter to go do this?
I don't know. Honestly, the kind of like the sort of layout of like this part of the story starts getting really weird to me. Like pretty much from the moment where Gimao was like, okay, go get the Basho set and the Basho fan and go get that, and because it's like when Yamcha like first meets Chi-Chi, and then he knocks her out, and then when he sees the picture of Chi-Chi, he goes back to Chi-Chi because he doesn't want Chi-Chi to like tell her dad and get, I don't know, and then
wasn't he worried that he killed her? I thought he was afraid that he might have killed her, and he was double checking to make sure she was still alive.
Maybe it was that, and then it's like that. Then like the first thing he can think of when she like comes to, it's like, oh, I'm sorry for knocking you out. I'm actually in love with you. And I'm like, what? Like, obviously, it's there to... So then, like, when Goku comes in, Chi-Chi starts thinking that he's in love with her as well. But, like, still, it's like... I just don't get the logic there. I don't really get the logic this episode. And then, like, Yamcha even being there. Like, the entire culmination of that whole Yamcha thing was basically just so Yamcha can see that Goku has a weak point if you squeeze your tail. And that only really comes to, like, fulfillment in, like, the very end of the arc as this one idea. And it's not even completely fully, like, utilized. It's kind of a weird way it's utilized. We'll talk about that probably next podcast, maybe. But,
right.
This is just one of the episodes where, like, last episode it had crazy logic and I could follow it, but this episode it had crazy logic and I couldn't follow it.
Yeah, this was... It definitely isn't one of the stronger episodes we've seen so far. Because it is just kind of all over the place. Like I do adore Chi-Chi as a character, but yeah, like the whole, like, Yamcha feels very much just tacked on. He doesn't really feel like he needs to be there. He kind of feels like about as intrusive as I was like the Peel-Off gang does, like in their filler scenes. Because like he's just kind of inserting himself into the story that he has no part of, and he's just kind of watching from a distance.
You know, now I think about it, that's probably why the Peel-Off gang don't show up as much, because Yamcha and Puara kind of take the role of the guy sort of following from the side and trying to make moves and always failing.
Yeah, well, I guess in that sense, you know, Dragon Ball's at least thematically consistent in terms of how it's structured its episodes.
I guess so.
But yeah, we get, as you mentioned, Goku's weakness, his tail. That's first introduced here. I'm surprised it never came up sooner. Like, because, like, you know, what was it? Because I know, like, Bulma, like, squeezed his tail or tugged on his tail or something. And he was like, ow, no, just give me, I'll wash my own back. And I feel like I really wonder if Toriyama had come up with the tail weakness prior, and if he was saving it for like a later moment, because it does cut away to when Goku's tail gets grabbed by Bulma.
I mean, I think it's like, well, I think like what he's sort of saying, like, you know, if you like kind of squeeze the tail, so I guess it's like, because it's like Chi-Chi's sort of trying to use it to like climb out onto the Kinto, and so it's like, I guess it's a little bit different to just like grabbing it normally. Like you've got to like actually like
yank the fuck
like
out of it.
No, not yank it, like squeeze it, like, you know, like not like try to like not try to yank it, like squeeze it like the other direction, you know.
Yeah, and
like, you know, like a really firm grip kind of thing.
Yeah, I will say, so as clusterfucky as some of these parts of this episode are, I do love when she grabs his tail and he's just like freaking out as she's like pulling herself onto the Kinto, and he's just like, and he just falls over onto the side. He's just completely incapacitated. I thought that was a great little scene. Also, okay, something about Chi-Chi in this episode. Okay, so the Gyumao sent Chi-Chi out to go find the Muten Roshi, who we find out is also the Kami Sennin. They said Mount Frypan was on fire for 10 years. He waited 10 goddamn years before he went, go forth, my 12-year-old daughter. You're finally old enough to venture out into the world and go find the Muten Roshi. Why can't I do it? Well, Daddy's been drinking.
Was this some kind of like coming of age ceremony for Chi-Chi that like, oh, you know, like that's what all girls do when they're 12. They go out to see the world, like some kind of like Pokemon trainer kind of thing. Like, now you're finally old enough to go on your quest that is actually give out some place to live.
Here's your ball cap with insignia on it and some Pokeballs, and here, have Pikachu. Good luck, kid.
Because no, they never really like imply anything, because I was thinking about it, because like they said it was 10 years, and the fire went on fire 10 years ago, and that was when he was on a picnic with his daughter. So I mean, Chi-Chi would have been like 2. I mean, yeah. I guess it's not that weird to have a picnic with a 2-year-old, but still, it's like, yeah, what is the Ox King been doing? Where have they been? No wonder Chi-Chi is so messed up. Like, her entire life has been, she hasn't had a home because their house is on fire, and the Ox King is just going around and murdering people who get too close. Like, no wonder she's messed up.
Yeah, I think we figured out Chi-Chi's character. She was raised by a crazy drunken hillbilly whose house was set on fire for 10 years straight. So he just goes around murdering people, and her only context for like how to deal with strangers is to kill them, like she did with Yamcha, or try to do to Yamcha.
No wonder she tried to kill Yamcha. Yeah, because the Ox King. Oh, this is I feel like I'm understanding.
It makes sense now. Like see, we weren't being analytical enough. You really have to like we didn't understand the complex nuances of the Dragon Ball universe in Toriyama's brilliant writing. I don't even know if I'm being sarcastic or not. On to episode 8.
Yeah, basically. The only other things I put in were like some fun little quotes, like Chi-Chi's quote of "My heart's as pure as a flush toilet."
As a flush toilet, yeah. I remember that one. That one stood out to me. Like when I first watched it in Japanese, I was like, "What the fuck?" That's a really weird way to phrase that.
Also, this conversation between Chi-Chi and Goku, and Chi-Chi asks, "Why do you have a tail?" And then Goku just says, "I just do. I can't help it."
Also, let's not forget the pat heard round the world. The most important pat in all of Dragon Ball.
Oh yeah, true. Because if it wasn't for that, Chi-Chi might not have decided to say that, no, this demands marriage. I demand to be your wife now. I'm going to be your wife now. And then, yeah, Goku probably wouldn't have gotten married by then. And what if I'm going to answer your question right now, comment section. What if Goku did not give the pat to Chi-Chi? Most likely they would have been exterminated when Raditz came. Because Gohan probably would not have existed, and definitely would not have been old enough to be able to, like, burst through a spacepod and, like, kill him. I mean, not kill, I mean, like, hit him in the chest. So, there you go. And the world was saved because Goku, did the pat on Chi-Chi. Great.
I really feel this was a missed opportunity on Quinn's part. Like, I mean, he's the theory guy. Where is our what if Goku had never sexually assaulted Chi-Chi as a child? Come on! Quinn, you're dropping the ball here, buddy. Inquiring minds want to know. Okay, really, it's just me, but...
I mean, like, I feel like I answered the question, but I mean, like,
True.
I guess there are always alternate theories, so, you could say, what if Goku married someone else, or blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah, I think we've gone too far. Let's go on to episode 8.
Well, yeah, because, like, Bulma and Yamcha have relationship troubles later on. She already established she thought Goku as an adult was really cute. And you never know, guys.
Okay, let's not go into shipping.
So, okay. They get to the Muten Roshis, and this is actually like where we would first see his house in the manga. But yeah, this is our second time seeing it in the anime.
Yep.
And one of the first things that the Muten Roshi brings up is the Kinta-un. And he's like, oh yeah, it's really great. It's like, well, of course it is. It was given to me by God. It's like, does he think Karin is God?
Well, I mean, obviously retroactive, yeah, because we find out it's given to Karin, I guess. Yeah, I guess. I mean, because, like, I feel like somewhere somebody mentions Karin as, like, some kind of deity in some way, even if he's really not, even if he's really just a sage cat, or... I mean, he still does live on top of the tower, and he is the one who, like, approves everyone to go to God anyway, so... I don't know, maybe Roshi was just, like, getting confused, and was, like, getting confused between Karin and Kami in his head, because, like, they, like, live in the same place. But then again, he's never met, because he never met Kami, so... For all in terms, like, he could have just assumed that Karin was God, because he never met actual God.
True. So yeah, there we go. Like he, in as far as the Muten Roshi is concerned, the supreme being of Earth is an obese cat.
He's not that fat, but still.
He's really round. Like he is about as he's a big old fluff ball.
Yeah, true.
Like, I mean, if you met a human with those dimensions,
I mean,
pretty obese.
I guess so, but then again, it's like, because it's like a character like Yajirobe, like, is he supposed like he seems like he's supposed to be fat, but Karin, I don't really know. I don't know. I mean, I think Karin is based on Karin is based on one of Toriyama's cats, so maybe that was I don't know whether that was a fat cat or not. So I don't know.
Yeah, maybe, I'll give Karin the benefit of the doubt and just say it's all fur. He's probably an Adonis if you shaved him. He has like rippling pecs. He is a great martial artist after all.
Some kind of like chinchilla cat kind of thing.
Yeah, don't. I don't want to be called out for fat shaming a cat, man. So.
All right, yeah. That's on to the actual episode.
Yes. So yeah, like the Kinta-un, they talk about that. I feel like not a whole lot happens in the beginning because it's just like a lot of gag stuff with like Roshi goes on this weird word association thing with Chi-Chi's name. With, like, Chi-Chi means father, but Chi-Chi means breast, and he's just like, Chi-Chi's, and just, yeah. That was weird.
I
didn't know how to feel about that.
I mean, it was like one of the things. I was like, since obviously we're not Japanese, I don't really understand as much of the kind of cultural impact of like this kind of name pun thing, because like her name also means milk as well, right? I don't know.
Well, I think it means. Oh, I think it does mean milk.
So it's like,
wait, no, or does it mean milk in Spanish? I don't remember.
So I don't know. I've got to say though, I did kind of like the sort of Toriyama twist in this case. Kind of felt like a bit of like a double twist. So okay, the thing you expect to happen. Okay, so Chi-Chi wants to test that this old guy is actually the Muten Roshi. So she's like, oh, I'll go and attack him, and if he's that strong, he'll like be able to dodge. He'll easily like be able to like counter it or dodge it or whatever. And basically, Roshi tries, but she kind of just threw a giant like blade at him, and it kind of just cut right through his stuff. And then he's like, listen, don't be an idiot. Like nobody would be able to dodge that, okay? And she's like, but then you're not that good in Muten Roshi. And he's like, no, I am. And he gives her his driver's license that like says Muten Roshi on it or whatever it is. And so he's like, oh, well clearly it's him. It's his driver's license. It's like it was just like that was funny. Like that's just like you take what you expect to happen, then you subvert it, but then you like add an extra just completely goofy thing onto it that kind of resolves it all.
Yeah, it was like that was a really well played out moment because you do have the Chi-Chi blade throw and him epically dodging it, and then his staff just slowly falls, and you see the blade in his head. He's just like, why would you throw that?
Why would you do that? Yes.
Yeah, it was great. It's a great gag, and I do love how he just pulls out the license. Because that's such a Toriyama thing. Like, look, I'm the Muten Roshi.
It's on my driver's license.
Also, okay, does the Muten Roshi not actually have a name? Because, like, I'm pretty sure both Kami Sennin and the Muten Roshi are titles, not names.
I don't know. I was also thinking about that. Yeah, like, if that's, like, if he applied that as his driver's license, does that mean that's his name? Or is this more of his name? Or, because, like, obviously it's not like, yeah, it's more like of a title than a name, but I guess it's like, you know, like...
Yeah, like...
I don't know. Maybe it's like kind of a sort of like a Pope thing where it's like they're sort of known by like kind of their professional title kind of thing as opposed to like their birth name or...
Yeah, it's just kind of weird to think that like, you know, they've given this man two names and neither one is a name. And that's all we're ever going to get. Like, because they're both titles. One is, you know, the Turtle Hermit, and then the other one is like the Invincible Old Master.
Yeah,
that's all we're gonna get.
It is, yeah. No, we don't get any other names for him. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. So the Muten Roshi, he says like, all right, I'll go, but I want to poke the big booby girl's boobies some. And
it almost feels like by Bulma showing him her vagina, like it is just like pretty much started his lust and he can like never be satisfied now.
Until he goes to Puar later in Super to
I don't even know what they did. Yeah, I don't even know what they were doing.
I mean, they were making me angry. That's for certain.
That's something else, but yeah, that's not.
Oh my god, I just watched those episodes recently and I'm so angry about them. Oh my god. Anyhow, back to good Dragon Ball. So, the Muten Roshi, like, he confronts Gyumao, and he just starts, like, chastising him for, like, he's like, I've been hearing you've been killing a lot of people, bad Gyumao. And he's just like, oh, I'm sorry, master. And of course I won't kill again.
Of course, he doesn't go in to go and stop him for 10 years either, because of course not. Although, fun fact about this section, something I realized a few years ago, basically the Muten Roshi kind of has a costume change, pretty much, like, to sort of show, like, you know, gets out of his goofy shirts to sort of make it look like he's more professional and, like, actually is, like, one of this invincible old master. And that includes, like, different sunglasses that have, like, little stars on the corners of them.
I love those star glasses.
And I don't think they show up ever again. Like, besides,
they don't.
I think they only show up in this one scene, in this one part of the story.
Yeah, like, I don't even know, like, are they in the manga as well?
Yeah, they're in the manga. That's why I remember this. So, But yeah.
Yeah, because I always remember them standing out in the anime, and I remember that they never came back. Ever.
So, yeah,
and I always thought that was a little weird.
Toriyama, if you want a Roshi redesign, bring back those star glasses. That's going to be real old school callback.
That's great. Yeah, but yeah, I love like he shows up like he's like he changes into like his martial arts master coat. Also, I love like they go to him because he's this wise old master, this great powerful warrior, and he has all these mystical items like we need the sacred Bancho fan. He goes, "Fuck, I threw it away." Oops.
Basically.
And then he's just like, "Don't worry, kids. I'm the invincible old master. I'll just put that flame out myself." And then he just summons a baby Gamera and just rides that sucker.
Oh my god! Can we talk about Baby Gamera? Baby Gamera is canon, guys. It's canon. This is part of Dragon Ball. Okay.
Yeah, that was in the original manga. That isn't some weird shit that Super pulled out of nowhere. That is a thing.
Oh, I'm not even talking about Super. I'm not even talking about the fact that it's in Super. I just mean like just in general, it is such a weird thing. That would also be like the same place as like Dragon Ball Z kind of stuff, but like no, it's part of the same story.
Also, how did they not get sued for that?
I don't know. And then it's like, because then it's like, I mean, I'm just thinking something like Dr. Slump, where like in Dr. Slump they mention like Godzilla and Gamera a lot, like the Gachans, like the little baby things. Like I think their names are supposed to be like a something that Raleigh came up with that is like a combination of Godzilla and Gamera as the name, so I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know how IP protection works in Japanese legal systems.
Right. I mean, well, for a while they didn't have it at all, which is why Lupin III was in such horrible conditions legally for a long time. Which is really weird to think like Japan's like copyright system was like so loose and fast way back when, and now they're like probably way stricter about it than like any other country is. But anyhow, like Baby Gamera is adorable. He's my favorite Pokemon, and I want a plush of him. God damn it!
I would actually want a plush of it too. That'd be pretty cute, even if it's kind of like basically just like green Squirtle. But wonderful.
Yeah, he's just this big, ugly, like snaggletooth Squirtle. It's like he's awesome. He's great. I want a plush of him. The mere fact that we've never gotten like a toy of Baby Gamera, I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but I feel it's a disservice to the fans because I would buy a Baby Gamera plush. I think you'd buy a Baby Gamera plush.
I might.
Yeah, it would be the best thing ever. But anyhow, the Muten Roshi, he gets to Frypan Mountain, and we actually get to see him like, live up to his status as this amazing god-tier martial artist.
Oh, this was so hype! Xeon, this was so hype!
Because, he does the whole thing, it's all silly and fun and games and stuff. He's, trying to get up, on the thing, and he can't really reach up there, and he's just, getting up there like an old man. It's just alright, he's all skinny, and then all of a sudden, you just see him, and just, boom, his arms pop out, his back bulges out, and then he thrusts his arms out, and his chest bulges out, the force of that shreds the band-aid on his head. He's just so ripped. And he does that martial arts stance. He's just slowly charging that Kamehameha up, and when he launches it out, I love the way the Kamehameha looks in early Dragon Ball. Just how it has that weird kind of staticky effect around it. Because it's not just a single focus beam with a little bit of hazy glowy dithering to it. It's got this really sketchy effect to it that's really only in I think older Dragon Ball.
Yeah, because we need to talk about this. The Kamehameha. It's not the first named kind of martial arts technique in this fun martial arts adventure. That was the Roga Fufu Ken. The Wolf Fang Fist, Gale Fist thing. That's the thing that Yamcha did. But this is, obviously, everyone knows the Kamehameha because it's very important because it ends up being the move that Goku uses and it kind of becomes his signature move, even if, basically, he only really got it because he saw the Muten Roshi use it and he thought it was so cool he tried it and manages to learn how to do it instantly, even though it took the Muten Roshi 50 years because, hey, Goku's pretty much, it's perhaps probably the first time in the series where they kind of basically say, it's not just Goku is strong, it's just he's kind of this martial arts almost prodigy as well, so he can just kind of do this kind of stuff, and he's like even by the standards of crazy people on Earth, he's actually still pretty crazy. But
yeah.
Okay.
I do love though, like whenever he fires the Kamehameha, because he's like kind of like, you know, practicing a little. He's like, all right, and then like he launches it, and he's just like, oh man, it's not as big as the old man's was. I don't know, whatever. Like I do like the fact that like, you know, when the Muten Roshi does the Kamehameha, it is this massive destructive force. When Goku does it, he wrecks a small vehicle.
So it's like Goku isn't too crazy competent yet. Like he doesn't instantly figure out instantly master what it took him 50 years to master. He just instantly gets the gist of it. So it's still pretty like ridiculous, but not as ridiculous. It's like he still has somewhere to go.
You know, I really feel like this in retrospect works for what they do with Goku later when they start going into his origin, how he's an alien and he's a Saiyan and all that, because when we see Saiyans, they all can use energy. They can all fire beams of energy from their hand, ki, you know, and like, so it kind of retroactively fits that, like, yeah, of course Goku could just naturally fire ki if he just tried. He just never knew it was a thing he could do.
Well, the one thing that I did find kind of odd about that whole retroactive thing is that, like, when Yamcha is sort of seeing the Kamehameha and he's sort of describing it to everyone, and he's sort of describing it like it's, because it is, everyone assumes that it's like the first ever kind of like, oh, it uses your internal energy and turns it into power as a big blast, where it's like, later on it's like, that's kind of what like almost every attack in Dragon Ball does in some way. The Kamehameha isn't very special in that way. Also, I am kind of pissed off, a little bit upset that they didn't include the thing in the manga where Puar literally says, like, isn't that the name of the king of Hawaii? So, in the manga, Hawaii is canon, so there you go, guys.
Oh my god, I never thought, because I remember people saying that, like, Dr. Slump and Dragon Ball can't actually take place in the same universe, because in Dr. Slump, like, they reference, like, the, like, you know, like, other countries and stuff. So I'm just like, but I mean, but like, you know, Dragon Ball does that too, because, you know, you just mentioned, like, you know, the King of Hawaii thing. Also, later on, what was it? Ninja Murasaki, or Sergeant Major Murasaki, is going to, like, cover himself in an American flag by accident.
Well, I've seen some people say, like, oh, you know, you can't mean that means there's an America, it's just a coincidence kind of thing, you know, but, yeah,
right.
That's something else, but, yeah, it's, the Kamehameha is so cool. Can I just say that? If you have not tried to do it once in your life, you are lying. You are a liar, okay?
Everyone does. Like, shit, I'm in my 30s, and if I'm drunk and sitting in my room by myself, I'll do the pose. Shit. Okay, I'm lying. Even when I'm sober, I'll do it.
I want to do it right now. It's so hype.
Yeah, it's such a cool thing. Like, it's so basic, but it conveys so well as an attack. Like every other attack in Dragon Ball, like, you know, they just kind of feel like variations. Like, you know, the Gallic Ho. Like, you know, it's, oh, well, it's, you know, like the hands are palmed out and stuff. And I feel like nothing really conveys just launching a ball of energy, a beam of energy like the Kamehameha, which is pretty much why, you know, Street Fighter ripped it off for the Hadouken. You know, that pose just conveys just that kind of power and just boom, it's awesome. I love it.
Zion, I'm getting depressed now because I can't shoot energy beams out of my hands.
Oh, tear. Okay, so the Muten Roshi, he's kind of an asshole in this, by the way. He will not help his own pupil, like, put the fire out unless he gets to fondle a 16-year-old girl's boobs.
You got him fine there. Yeah, he's pretty insistent on that. Keeps coming back for
that
it.
Is, yeah, like, you know, he tells her, you know, it's like, you know, it's like, well, why do I have to do this? Like, well, your dragon thingy's in there, right? Let me touch your titties. And she's just like, ugh. And he's like, I mean, I can just leave. I can leave right now. She's just like, fine. Like, you know, he does it. And then he immediately is just like, hey, over here. Let me touch the boobies. And she's just like, give me a moment. And, you know, that leads into the oolong scene. And honestly, I really like that scene. That I think is hilarious. It totally gives Bulma her comeuppance for trying to abuse Oolong. And it kind of, backfires in the Muten Roshi's face a little bit because he got Pafu by a pig boy. Not a hot girl like he thought. It looks like a hot girl. It's still a pig boy.
Got a point. Got a point there. Well, okay.
So really, it's a joke where like nobody really got what they wanted, and everyone just kind of loses, and it's really funny. And I love that scene. The one thing that bugs me about that scene is there's freaking okay. Are you familiar in cinematography of the 180?
Yep.
Yeah, like when doing shot reverse shot, you always keep the camera on the same side of the people.
Yep.
Well, like this, they completely break the 180 because when Bulma does her like boob reveal thing, she's on the right side of the screen. But then whenever the camera shows the Muten Roshi, he's also on the right side of the screen, facing like the wrong direction. It's just like, wait, what? I
did not
and
notice
it was just,
that, actually. No, I'm gonna.
Yeah,
I might look over the manga and see, because generally it probably would be the manga's fault. Toriyama, did you break the 180 rule? Toriyama. Ooh.
Yeah, because I am curious about it. I'll have to check that out myself. But yeah, like when she did that, like, because I know Dragon Ball's done that a couple of times, but this is the first time I ever noticed it in this scene. Also, another weird scene in the last episode when Goku goes to use his Nyoibo like to propel himself into the air. He's on the ground. I think he's like sitting in a puddle or something, and I think it might have been during the Gyumao fight, and he tells the Nyoibo to extend, and it extends while it's still in the holster.
Yeah,
and then when the camera
that.
changes angle, it shows him riding on top of it, like holding the top of it and coming back up, and I'm like, that didn't spatially make sense.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that Goku going into the puddle was filler, because I don't remember it in the manga. But yeah, okay, storyboard guys, I think you have some issues there.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool to see him like point upward and have the Nyoibo and have like the Nyoibo like fly out of his holster, but then for it to immediately cut to him riding up it was just like, that didn't make sense continuity wise, and kind of like I think you are right. I think that is filler. But yeah, the whole breaking the 180 though, those are just like a couple of editing things and panel things. I was just like, guys, you gotta do your storyboarding a little better, but And
if you guys thought we couldn't get any more in depth, we just did.
Yes. And also we get the proposal. The fallout from the Pat that will eventually lead to Gohan and a whole lot of other things.
Well, but Dion, what about Goten?
What about Goten? What's a Goten? Okay, is that like a food?
Okay, we've made our Goten joke. Great, let's continue on.
But yeah, no, like we get the proposal. It's really cute. I always found it weird that the dub completely jacked that whole scene up, because like he says, I think she says like in both the Funimation dub and the Ocean dub, she says something like, are we ever gonna see each other again? And Goku's like, yeah, sure, blah blah blah.
Oh.
And yeah, they completely just cut out any reference to proposal or like, being like, can I be your bride and blah blah blah. Like, they completely cut all that dialogue out, and it really fucks up later on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, then how would you do it at the point where she literally does reference the fact that Goku does say that?
Funimation didn't fix it, because that was one of the things I noticed when I watched it. When I got to that part, like she references that scene and they flash back to it, but it's still the old dialogue. It's still her saying, "Will I ever see you again?" And she's like, and then she starts yelling to him about like, how they need to get married and stuff, and that he promised. And Goku being like, "Sorry, I didn't really understand." It's like, no, you guys didn't establish this in your dub. You fucked up. Stop that.
At that point, Goku, it would make sense. We would believe Goku. No, I don't remember saying that, because you didn't say anything about marriage.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a cute scene, and it's one of those things, like, it's this little tiny breadcrumb that, even though Toriyama seems to forget so much about his series, supposedly, he will come back several chapters later to reference this again.
It is like one of the few moments where Toriyama surprisingly had a lot of continuity there. Like a lot of continuity there. Like wow, wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously we don't get the culmination of that until much later on.
Right. Yeah, it's a good, like I said, it's a really good setup to a payoff way later on, and yeah, it's a cute little scene in its own regard. It's kind of really weird to think that like it almost feels like he did that intentionally, because that's such a weird thing to tack on at the very end.
I mean,
like the last thing he says to Chi-Chi is that he'll marry her.
I feel like what it kind of was almost, establishing Goku's kind of love interest, inverted commas. Like, this is the person, this is what it's going to be, and no, we're not going to get caught down in romantic subplots, because, we're not going to do that, or, we might, but if we do, it's going to be with Chi-Chi, and, I feel like that's kind of what, it was, establishing Chi-Chi as Goku's love interest, until forever, so that's kind of the thing.
But Gabby, what about all the Goku / Bulma fanfics?
We're not going into AU territory. If you want to do that, I don't know. We're talking about the actual series. We're talking about what we can see with our eyes, and not with what we can think about in our heads.
Yep. But yeah, that covers the 4 episodes we watched for this one, though. Is there anything else that you wanted to say that you missed out on?
No, I think that was pretty much everything.
Alrighty. We've been talking for 90 minutes.
I know, I was going to say, I thought this part we were going to talk for less amount of time, but I think in the end we might even be talking for a longer period of time.
I know!
Why do we do this?
I know!
We need to stop coming up with so many points of conversation.
We're really bad. We're really bad at getting down to just,
we need to literally consciously limit ourselves next time. We've got to hide our power levels.
Yeah, unless, I don't know, maybe in the comments, do you like these being 90 minutes, or would you prefer them to be an hour? I don't know.
Oh yeah, if you want, we will try to do it faster, maybe, who knows, I don't know.
Yeah, no promises, because I went into this one thinking, I don't have that much to say about this. This will be shorter than the first one, because the first one was kind of bogged down with establishing what this podcast was, and a lot of other stuff.
Whoops.
And no...
Whoops.
Man.
Anyway, I don't feel like we ever talked about anything that was unimportant though. So I don't know. Okay, this will be good. And then next time we're gonna probably get to almost the climax and almost the end of the first arc, and then I don't know. I feel like that won't be as much interesting, but there probably will be because we're gonna be talking about culminations of character arcs and whatnot. But yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. These 4 episodes, it feels like it almost this is the point where the arc starts to get a little bit weird. It kind of loses its steam a little bit, especially also the next episode 9. But I think by the end it starts going back at full force, and it's at least enjoyable ride, even if some of the jokes don't hit.
Yeah, I would say out of all of these, episode 7's probably the weakest one we've seen so far, but it's not terrible. It still has its good moments, and yeah, it's an okay episode among some pretty good episodes. I would say episode 8 is probably the best one we've seen out of this bunch. Don't know if it's the best out of all the ones we've seen, but I would definitely say just all that Muten Roshi stuff really kind of elevates it to being just a really, really good episode.
Yeah, basically. And, the introduction of things that were actually really important later on in the series. That episode introduced a lot. So, yeah, that's fun. Dragon Ball's fun. Even if we talk about how much we pretend to hate it or love it or get annoyed by people who also like it, but Dragon Ball's fun. This is why we do it.
Yes.
To talk about it.
Hail Zeon pretends to hate Dragon Ball.
Well, you know what I mean.
Totally nothing sincere. I'm not doing air quotes right now.
Anyway, yeah, so we'll probably all see you guys next time for episodes from episode 9 onwards.
All right. Zeon, out.
Bye, guys.